Hey, what is going on, people? This is Tenchi, and I'm here to do my review on the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. Alright, um, going into this, going into this, I had expectations, I had things that I wanted to happen, I had things I was apprehensive about, and I'm like, please, please don't let me regret paying full price to see this film. And I ended up not hating it, but there was a lot of things I did not like about it, and there were things that I did like about it. So let's get to the things I did like about it. First off, the opening sequence was hot. The opening sequence was nice. I like the fact that it was it was very reminiscent of the comic books. It was basically paying homage to the comic books, and it had a nice montage of them using their weapons. It was very nice. The narration was cool. I dig it. You know what I mean? Megan Fox was not the most annoying part of this film. Yes, a lot of the focus was on her, and that could get annoying, but she actually was acting. She wasn't being used as just the hot chick. She wasn't being used as the just a sexy girl in the background that happens to have a few lines of dialogue here and there. Bravo, alright? Finally, there's just something I can respect her for, instead of just having a nice body, because that's just wrong. But anyway, even though she was not the worst thing about this film, even though I still think she was miscast, I think her story wasn't that bad. I think that they did spend a little more time focusing on it than I would have hoped, because she's a reporter trying to get her trying to just get her big trying to get her big break, and trying to get respect where in her office. I mean, geez, she's doing all these amateurish jobs, and she's been on the news team for a while, trying to pay her dues. So I can respect that, but there was way too much focus on it. Way too much focus on it. But when the Turtles were on screen, they shined. When the Turtles were on screen, they shined. I mean, their personalities were right there and out in front. Michelangelo did a little too much flirting. I mean, yeah, I know in the past he's had this character's had a crush on April O'Neil before, but it was never to this degree. A lot of the lines were funny, but I'm like, whoa, man, you just it's, I guess, typical teenager with a big ego. I don't know. Splinter was cool. I like the way he acted. But I did not like his CG. His face was just, I know they were going for more realism, but there was just something about it that just seemed so out of place. And yeah, it just, I don't know. The action in this film, while it seemed toned down, it was alright. It was alright. I wouldn't say it was the best, but when they had slow-mo, they didn't overuse the slow-mo like they do on a lot of other action films. The snow chase scene, they put a lot of emphasis on the promos with the snow chase scene. It was actually worth the wait. I give props to them on that one. It was well done, and I had no problem with it. I mean, geez, the whole theater I was at was at the edge of their seats when that scene came up. So really excellent job, everyone involved in that one. Like, they're really gonna see this, but yeah, but that's not saying a lot, because here's what I didn't like about the film: underused, underdeveloped, useless characters. Underused characters, Karai. This is the first time we ever get to see Karai in a live action setting in the Turtles. The last time we saw her in a TMNT story in the films was the 2007 CGI film, where she barely had any development in that, but yet she was still a great character, very good voice actress. I mean, that was Karai. In this one, she's just barking orders at the foot and taking orders from the Shredder. That's it. She's only got like 2 or 3 scenes of screen time of screen time maximum, and she barely says much. And when she does, it's not really anything to it's not really anything to say. Oh, okay, she's coming back. I hope, because they have announced that there will be a sequel. I hope that she comes back and they give her more to work with. She didn't even get a backstory. Neither did Shredder, really. But, you know, it's just, that's what I mean by underused, underdeveloped. I mean, a useless character, an example of a useless character is their version of Vernon. Vern in this movie, not the actor that plays him, but the character himself did not need to be there. He had no reason to be there. All he was doing was flirting with April, and it got a little creepy at some times. I mean, I know they're both adults, but it got a little creepy, and yeah, really, every line he said made me cringe. I guess it was either the way it was delivered or just the fact that, I mean, he did an okay job acting. It was just the dialogue that was horrible. Whoever the heck was writing it did not know how to write this character. Obviously, did not do their homework. Vernon in the cartoon was basically a rival for April, not a potential suitor, not a flirt. You know, I know things got to be different in different mediums, but that was just really unnecessary. The Shredder, even though when he's in his armor, and I still don't like the blades or anything else like that, I think that the fight scenes were done well. But that doesn't account for the fact that Shredder barely had any development. We don't ever find out if he's a Rokosaki. I'm guessing they're gonna save that for the sequel. But that's just speculation because it's just been announced, and this movie has made a lot of money already. So, sequel's on the way, people. Man, sorry about the shaky cam. All right. So anyway, yeah, the thin plot in this, the paper thin plot, and Eric Sachs. Eric Sachs was another useless character. He did not need to be in this film. You could have made him Baxter Stockman, and people are already theorizing that he was supposed to be the original Shredder before they did the rewrites. I think you might be right. I gotta look into that a little more, but it makes sense. But really, this guy, I mean, William Fichtner, great actor. Okay, I'm not. He did well, but the character himself was useless. No real reason for him to be in there in the first place. His whole motivation was just greedy. I mean, yeah, typical villain. But he was already rich. His whole thing, and Shredder's whole thing, was to spread a virus throughout the city of New York and use the mutagen as the cure and become heroes. Okay, people have said that that's the Spider-Man plot, and I also say that that's the motivation for Syndrome from The Incredibles. His whole thing was get rid of the heroes, create all these robots, make utter chaos throughout the city, save the city with my own inventions, and have them praise me. That's pretty much the same route they took. Really, it was a thinly veiled plot. You know, I'm not saying the original ones were really all that plot heavy to begin with, but they had ones that at least made a bit of sense. This was just ridiculous. Yeah, and really, it's just this movie. You know, parts were good, parts were bad. But it's not made for your average Ninja Turtle fan. It was made, number one, to make money, and number two, to try and bring in a whole other generation of fans. If I was the 9-year-old me, and I saw this movie for the first time, you know, if I was growing up with this generation of kids, brand new TMNT fans, I probably would have enjoyed this a lot more. I probably would have said, this is great, this is awesome. But I can't say that here. I can't. As a fan, I cannot say that this was a
a good film. I could say that this is basically a guilty pleasure. I've been saying that for a while. I can see this in my collection as a guilty pleasure that I watch every once in a while to have a laugh, because there was a lot of comedic moments. Like I said, the turtles were great despite the CGI. They were great. I mean, oh, and another thing that was cool. Before I forget, seeing the young version of the turtles. We've never really seen young versions of the turtles. We've seen we've seen in the original cartoon where they got aged down for a minute. Something happened to them. Where they ended up becoming younger. We got to see a little bit of them, as they're mutating. Pretty much, they look like they're fully grown. But in this one, we actually get to see them grow up. I don't like the way they did the origin story, really. I mean, yeah, Splinter learned from a book and then taught them. They were the pets of April O'Neil. Everything goes back to April O'Neil. I know that they say it's kind of parallel to the IDW comics, yes, but you know what? They were able to write it's a certain way where there was still there was still which we call it Hamato Yoshi. He was still involved. It was not just he's a mutated rat. It was just sloppy writing. You could tell what kind of rewrites they did and everything, and yeah. But like I said, there are good parts about this film and there are bad parts about this film. And there are really just some useless characters that they did not need, and other ones that they could have developed more. I'm just one fan, so it's to each his own. If you like this film, then cool. Then it's cool. If you don't like this film and you say it's the worst thing ever made, then it's your opinion. Honestly, I say it's not for the veteran Turtle fan. It is not for someone who grew up with the Turtles. If you're like me and you still watch, if you still occasionally watch the old school Turtles, and if you're watching the new school ones on Nickelodeon on Sundays, that's for everybody. That show is for the veteran fan and the new school fan that's just getting into it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't believe me, watch some of the episodes, or you could check out my TMNT playlist where I talk about all things Ninja Turtle news and comic reviews, and as well as episode reviews for the 2012 series. Let me know what you guys think of TMNT 2014. There's gonna be a sequel, so everybody watch out. What do you want to see for this sequel? How do you think some of these underdeveloped characters could be better utilized in a sequel? Comment below, let me know, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace, love, and never be normal.